98 Not Out, sponsored by Shepherd Neame, proud supporters of cricket in Essex.
A very warm welcome to head coach Mr. Peter Moores. Peter, how are you doing?
I'm all right, Darren. How's you?
Okay, you still walking on air?
Yeah, it's one of those nice things when you win any trophy. It's a great moment when you do it, but often, certainly from a coaching point of view, some of the nice things are when you look back over the next sort of few weeks, sometimes months. You have those moments, but it's always nice when you're seeing a lot of hard work go in that you actually get over the line because you know something you can enjoy. You don't have those what-if moments, which you've all had many, many times when it hasn't quite worked.
But you've got a good track record in this tournament. I mean, that's 2017. You won it. You were narrowly pipped on finals day last year. So something is obviously going right for you boys up there.
Yeah, we've done really well in T20 over the last bit. I mean, I think we've been in the finals 4 out of the last 5 years. So we've had a good run at it. Actually, we've got a good team, and the lads have found a good. I think we've got a good way of going about the tournament actually. So we've gone down the route of trying to be a powerhouse batting side. Really, we use pace off quite well. I think tactically the lads are pretty savvy now. The better you do in tournaments, the more you get used to finding ways to win, and that really helps when you come to the knockout stages. So a lot of those lads now in that team they've now won 2 trophies, but they've played a lot of knockout cricket. So in the last certainly 4 years, we've never not got to the knockout of the 50 overs or the 2020 cricket at the moment. So white ball wise, we've been very strong really. So it meant that when we got to that finals day, last weekend, there was a lot of experience, not just with the older players, but some of those lads who are still fairly young really. They've already been to one finals day, and that certainly helps a little bit, I think, on the day.
And Peter, do you think that experience, does that then become almost expectation as well within their own minds, that they're expecting to win? They turn up, they know they're going to do well.
Well, expectation is a big thing, Paul. Definitely, they do think that there's no point going to finals day if you don't want, because everybody wants to win it, but the expectation to win it. I think we knew we had a good team this year. We did last year actually. We had a really tough one last year when we lost the semi-final, which at one point we felt like we'd nearly already won, and that was a tough one to take. So I think that drove everybody on this year to try and go that one step further. I think I think it helps you stay a bit calmer, if I'm honest, and that to me is a big part of doing well on big days, really. That you're excited, you want to do well. Can you be calm enough to deliver your skill, really?
You benefited as well from having a fairly undisturbed squad this year. You didn't have any sort of IPL distractions, and as far as injuries goes, it was just Harry Gurney that was the only one that was really missing, I thought.
Yeah, Harry was a big loss in some ways, in that Harry's been a sort of our number 1 T20 bowler over the last 3 to 4 years. So as soon as Harry had to have this operation on his shoulder, it was always going to be a big thing whether could we cover that, because he takes some important overs, certainly the ones at the end of the innings, when he's been one of the dominant ones. So that was always going to be an interesting one. And actually, Jake Ball, he's had a tough year last year, Jake, and he's really worked hard over the winter. So I was so pleased for him. He's had a fantastic tournament, 19 wickets, leading wicket taker, but bowled the tough overs, 2 up front, 2 at the end. And he really stepped up this year. And Dan Christian, actually as captain, started to take on more of a role towards the back end, and Dan saved all his. Dan had a good tournament, as he always does, but really he produced. He had one heck of a day on finals day when everything he touched worked, and he led from the front with bat, ball, and fielding really.
You had a lot of new players that were integrated in this year as well, and that all seemed to go pretty seamlessly. You had Josh Clark, Ben Slater, Ben Duckett, and Zach Chappell join, and they just seemed to sort of click really from the word go.
Yeah, well, they arrived with it last year. They had to be fair, it's never always as straightforward. People have got to settle, haven't they? So they've got to. There's a first point when you move anywhere. You try sometimes a bit too hard to prove a point, if I'm honest. And think what's happened to all those lads is they've settled down. They've got to know the lads. We've got to know them, and you become mates then. And anybody who's played sport, you play better when you play for your mates. You play, you play not just for yourself. You play for other people. And I think that team has got a good spirit about it. It's led really well by Dan Christian. It's got a nice mixture of some of the younger end, people like Matt Carter, who's come in over the last couple of years as well, newish players, people like Tom Moores. They've all come through it mixed in with some real experience of people like Samit Patel, Jake Ball, Dan Christian himself, Imad Wasim is an international player, that they add to it. So we know players learn off other players. They learn off coaches, but they also learn off other players. And when you're out there and it gets a bit tight, you need some calm heads, and often that comes from the older guys.
Talking of older guys, you mentioned Samit Patel there. He just keeps going and going, doesn't he?
He keeps going, mate. I mean, he loves final. He loves Sky TV. I think we'd have Sky there every day. He's a heck of a character, Samit.
Is he going to be your version of Darren Stevens, do you think?
Well, honestly, he loves the game as much as he did, I think, when he first started. I think what you find with all players that have played a long time is they've always loved the game, but they've really come to understand how much they love it, and they get it's like a second bout of enthusiasm. This sort of thing. They know it can't go on forever, but really they feel a bit like an 18-year-old again. And if you mix an 18-year-old's enthusiasm with a 35-year-old's experience, you've got a pretty dangerous combination there. So I think that's happened to Sammy, it's happened to Dan Christian. That sort of type players around, they're brilliant to have, because they're actually mature players who are still trying to get better. And that means it's a great message to all your younger players who come in the game that, that what makes the game fun really is keep trying to get better at it. And it does in most walks of life. You just keep trying to get better and improve. And if you do, you need a bit of lady luck at times. Of course you do, that things go your way. We probably had ours in the quarter-final. Get over the line, and you need to win any tournament. You need to sometimes win the odd game where you haven't played as well as you should have done. If you do, then it's your year and you get over the line.
I think that's the old adage, isn't it? To win a game where you've not played well, or from a lost position, that shows real experience. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think the final was a great example of that, because Jason Roy and Laurie Evans played really, really well, putting on 90. Two key players for them who both played well, and we just managed to hold on all the way through. Everybody bowled well, they batted well, and the game, it never got away from us. They were sort of putting themselves in a strong position, and then just when they pushed the button, one of our young guys in Matt Carr, we got a couple of quick wickets, and that really put them under pressure. Dan Christian and Jake Ball came and bowled brilliant in the last 4 overs, and that last 4 overs was a bigger reason we won the trophy as any batting as well, really, because they didn't get a boundary in the last 4 overs of that game, which was a huge part of the game, which probably means that 15 or 20 runs lighter than they would have liked, and it meant that we could carry off. We lost a couple up front, and in some ways, of course, you don't like it, but we know we got depth, so we can accept that, and we got over the line. We attacked the short edge all day, really, that some of the other teams didn't do, and that worked well for us.
Yeah, and I think that, just to that point, looking at the scorecard here, Laurie Evans was out in the 14th over on 114, and Surrey only then got another 13 runs off the last couple of overs.
Yes.
Yeah, which was a massive part of the game. Like we all talk, don't we? Momentum in sport's a huge part, and you saw that momentum shift go a little bit. Credit to Surrey, they came back because they got early wickets, which put it in, and we brought in the evergreen Pete Trigo on debut for us on 320 to come in and do his bit. So it was a good day, and as I say, I think I look back at that and testament. I think the lads have put a huge amount of work in over the last 12 months, really. Not just on white ball, red ball as well. We'd had a really tough red ball season last year, so the lads have worked really hard. That's all I expect as a coach, really. That you play for your mates, you work hard together, and you work hard for your members and for yourself to do the best you can. And you hope you get those rewards, because that makes lads want to keep doing the work, and that's where it's really important, especially with young players around.
And what odds Trigo getting the only 6 of your innings?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ben Duckett takes a lot of credit, because he sort of negotiated that innings beautifully, really. He didn't have to press any panic buttons. He hit the ball hard on the floor, kept the thing ticking, and there was quite a significant moment for me, a bit of an over, when Jamie Overton, ex-Somerset against Trigo, ex-Somerset, bowled at him, and Pete came out on top of that over, and I think that was quite a big over in the game, really, because that over really then got us closer to the finish line, and then we skipped along, and Dan and Ben took us home in the end.
It must have been a satisfying win, because playing Surrey would have been the final that we were just saying it was the final that probably everyone would have wanted given the form throughout the tournament. And to play in such a high quality game, it wasn't like, one or the other ran out of steam come the final. Both were going full pelt, and you guys ran out the winners. And so I think that must have been a really satisfying thing for all of you players and coaching staff as well.
Yeah, I think we were the best two teams. I think on the seedings we were one after the sort of the conference part of it, and Surrey were two. So, and very close. I think same points. We had a better sort of run rate. So, evenly matched teams out of that part of it, and it was North and South. So, one North team, one South team, the top of each league played off in the final, and both sides played pretty well actually. I think so. Credit to Surrey. They got the key partnership between Evans and Roy. And I think, on the day we just had a bit more firepower in the tank. The depth, I think they probably knew that they lacked a little bit of firepower lower on their order. And I think, to be fair, when Overton got Tom caught Overton out, that was quite a big dismissal because he belted a few at the end for them.
Yeah.
And that was one of their strikers out of the way. And then, credit to how Dan and Jake bowled, and getting wickets at the end is always important, because you get wickets at the end or the start, they're two massive parts of the game, because somebody new's got to come in, someone like Liam Plunkett who can really belt it. He's not got long enough to get himself in, and then obviously that means that we can keep the score rate down, and it gets that 10 or 15 runs, which just keeps the pressure off.
Finals day is known for being a fans' day out as much as anything else. It was a funny thing. I'm interested to know what it was like being there without. I know that all the cricket that's been played this year has been played without spectators, but particularly for T20 Finals Day, where the spectators play such a big part of it, did that have an effect, or once you're out there, it doesn't matter?
I think when the lads are playing the game, it doesn't affect them much, because the competition of the game sucks them in. It certainly feels different. There's no doubt about that, and I think there's a bit of sadness by everybody that you miss them, the fans. When the final was going on, the lads are looking over at the big stand there, thinking, well, the Congo would have just started off.
The beer snake.
Yeah. The beer snakes would be going, Little Red Rhino would be running away from the kid. Something, all those things would be going on there. The noise would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's all part of Finals Day, from Freddie falling over when he's trying to sing Elvis to Bumble doing his bit. They're all parts of it.
Yeah.
And that meant obviously that was missed on the day. As I say, I don't think it affects the quality of the cricket, because I think once the competition starts, the lads are so engrossed in that to win. And the moment when you've won it, I think there's always a bit of sadness from that point of view, because you want to share it with people in the stadium.
Yeah.
But by the same token, all the way through, our club's like every other club, it's had some really tough times to go through, and we know some of our staff are still being furloughed and have had real tough challenges, because parts of the club haven't had any. There's been no corporate entertainment. There's been no membership things going on at the ground. No ticket sales. There's people obviously who work for us it's made it very challenging. So I think as much for them as well as all the fans and all the people there, you're trying to put a smile on people's face. So I think that hasn't been lost on our team all the way through, actually, from when we first started coming back from furlough to do the practice. We had a month prep up for it, and it just felt like we were the lucky ones really to get a crack to go out and play. And I think that's been something that's been great in the game. Everybody we played against, I think, was of a similar mindset. So I think the spirit all the cricket's been played in has been a good one. And as I say, I think that some of the quality of the cricket on Finals Day wasn't affected, but part of Finals Day is exactly what you said. It's part of the crack that goes with it.
Yeah, I think at our level, at club level, everyone's just so grateful that we managed to get any cricket in.
Yeah.
So to then see it back on the international stage and the county stage was huge, wasn't it? Huge for the game of cricket.
Oh, massive. I mean, the international cricket that was played was some great cricket to watch, wasn't there? From our point of view, watching Stuart Broad play the sort of cricket he played was fantastic, but...
Can you have a word with him about his trousers, though?
What do you want me to tell him?
Well, they're too short and they're too tight. He's a grown man now. Now, come on.
I'll pass it on. But yeah, I mean, it was. We know it's massive because for the finances again, but also you're right. Just for the public to see, you know, we'd had such an unbelievable year the year before with the World Cup being on terrestrial telly and all that sort of stuff. You wanted people to know that, you know, cricket, it's a fantastic sport. I mean, I'm hooked, always have been. But it's a great sport for kids, great sport at club level. You know, it brings communities together. And for club cricket to get on was massively important, I think, as was some of the youth cricket in some ways, because, you know, it's competitive for sports out there, and we want people to be able to play a sport they love. And, you know, it had its, Paul, I'm sure you went through it. It had its sticking bits to start with to get it over the line, but fantastic. Actually, there's quite a lot of club cricket played, and no doubt some really good club cricket.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Peter, you mentioned the word momentum about the finals day and going into that. And I think the momentum, like you say, from the fantastic summer that we had last year, it would have been such a shame to lose that if we hadn't got enough cricket in this year. Yeah,
it would. It would have been a real loss. So I think it's something we've got to keep working towards. You know, credit to the ECB and all the cricket they've managed to get on, but we've got to keep making sure that cricket's like that. You know, it makes the extra effort all the time, and I think, you know, that at finals day they have I think they call the technical committee who make decisions to give it the best chance of playing some cricket on the day, and then that worked really well. You know, they were adjusting all the time, but basically what they got to was, as soon as we get a chance to put some cricket on, we'll get it on. And I think, you know, to get 2 11 over semis and a 16 over final was a great effort, really, because it was in October. We had a lot of rain. The ground staff, Gary,
Saturday looked grim, didn't it?
Job. Yeah, and credit, you know, they wouldn't been filming it all the way, but, you know, Gary and his lads, the ground staff there, they put a real shift in. You know, every time we were at the ground, they were just literally mopping up and cleaning up and whatever all the way through, which meant that as soon as it did stop, we had a chance to play, and all the players just got stuck in and went for it, and just happy to be able to get out there and play, because in October you never quite know what the next day brings.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the domestic season over and done with, and it's a fairly uncertain winter ahead. How are you planning for this? Have you got anything in store? I mean, obviously there's going to be a bit of a rest for everyone, but what do Notts have in store for the winter?
Well, like most things, the players get their breaks. They've got to physically keep ticking over at some point, but it's time to put your boots up for a little bit, and then, you know, we'll look at the situation. I mean, it's changing a little bit all the time, isn't it? Because, you know, we've seen at the moment things starting to increase a little bit, but we think the winters are really important for our players, because it's a chance for them to improve areas of their games. You know, to build on stuff which in the season they can do, but the winters are quite a nice time. So I think what we'll find this winter, it'll vary player to player. Some of the more senior players haven't got as many areas to work, but some of the young players might have really key areas to work. I think how we do that with them will be dictated to a little bit by circumstances, and we'll look at that. But certainly, from a club's point of view, to get an opportunity for lads to pick certain bits of their game on the different formats to go and work on is a huge part of it, I think, and something we prided ourselves on over the last few winters, really, that players can move themselves forward till they come back in April and they're just a bit better than they were the year before and they're ready to go again.
So I've got to ask you this, because I'm going to ask the reverse question to your son shortly. I'm a coach. I coach my 10-year-old boy, and I know I'm harder on him than I am on all the other players. Are you? And what's Tom going to say?
Well, I mean, you try and be fair, don't you, Paul? It's not an easy one, because if anything, you're going to be harder rather than anything, because you don't want for anybody to think you're being biased towards, you know, there's any sort of like bias towards it. So I think the key, I made the decision really that for Tom, you've got to be fair. So when I first took the job, and Tom was literally just coming onto the staff, and if Tom hadn't sort of wanted me to do it, I wouldn't have done it, you know. But I think he realised straight away that when I've been around, I was going to congratulate him on doing well the same as I would anybody else. And also, by the same token, if he wasn't doing it right, you're going to say, well, I don't think that's good enough. Ultimately, as a coach, in professional sport especially, the game does the judging for you. You know what I mean? As a coach, you know, a lot of people say you do this. I said, well, you know, if you get wickets and runs, you're doing okay. If your teammates and you support them, that's pretty obvious to see. So what a lot of the coaching, the way I see coaching now, it's about helping players have opportunity to get better. And Tom's no different to everybody else, you know. What it does do for me as a coach, it makes me look at everybody through different eyes, really. I look at him as though I'm the head coach, and I can't not look at him sometimes as though if you were my lad as well, you know. And I think sometimes that it helps, really, because you're trying to see things from other people's point of view, not just from, you know, all these lads want to win. They all want to do really well. And times, they, you know, like all of us can, you can get in the way of yourself and you can try too hard. So, but yeah, Tom, I've been really pleased for Tom. I think he's matured a lot as a player. A really good red ball season, keeping wise and batting wise. After what had been a tough red ball season last year, which is really common, you know, they have this sort of first year they fly, second year you overthink it a bit as a player often, and then by the third year you're starting to settle down. So that sort of journey for him, I've seen trodden by a lot of young players, and your key as a coach is you go with them, you support them, and you hopefully try and make them keep it simple, and they get over the line. And as I say, we sort of have two languages now, me and Tom. One we use at home and one we use at the ground. And the one at the ground is different to the one at home, because at home he's my son, and at the ground he's another player. You know, he's part of a staff, and he's got a job to do like everybody else.
Well, listen, congratulations, many congratulations on a superb season again, and playing some absolutely entertaining cricket, and being rewarded for it with the Vitality Blast Trophy. So, Peter, many thanks for joining us. Another excellent musical choice as well with Van Morrison. And we look forward to catching up next season, or maybe sometime in the winter. Let's hope all the plans go well and everyone keeps fit and works hard. But in the meantime, many thanks for joining us, Peter.
Thanks, fellas. Good to speak to you.
Okay.
Enjoy. And as I say, if Tom gives me a hard time, Darren, expect later to tell me.
Don't worry. Don't worry, I'll be on later. You look after yourself, and we'll speak soon. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.